Los Angeles, 1946. A city shimmering under the Californian sun, a beacon of hope and a crucible of shattered dreams for countless aspiring souls. Among them was Elizabeth Short, a young woman whose vibrant spirit and magnetic charm belied the quiet desperation of her circumstances. She arrived in this sprawling metropolis with a heart full of Hollywood aspirations, envisioning a life bathed in the golden glow of fame, a stark contrast to the gritty reality that often shadowed the city's glamorous facade. Elizabeth, affectionately nicknamed Betty by many, carried an undeniable allure. Her striking blue eyes and raven hair earned her the posthumous moniker, the Black Dahlia, a dark, poetic reference that would forever be etched into the annals of American crime. She was a woman who captivated attention effortlessly, leaving an impression on everyone she met, a quality that would tragically make her story all the more haunting. Post-World War II, Los Angeles was a city of stark contrasts. The glitz of Hollywood premieres and star-studded parties existed alongside the burgeoning underbelly of crime, corruption, and the disillusioned few who found themselves lost in the shuffle. It was an era of both boundless optimism and simmering darkness, a perfect stage for a tragedy of epic proportions. Elizabeth's dreams of stardom, however, remained frustratingly out of reach. She drifted through a series of odd jobs, often relying on the kindness of strangers and fleeting relationships to get by. Yet, her spirit remained unbroken, her laughter echoing in the smoky bars and bustling diners where she spent her evenings. She was a social butterfly, drawn to the vibrant, often dangerous circles that thrived in the city's nocturnal pulse. She moved with an easy confidence, seemingly oblivious to the lurking shadows that often accompanied such exuberance in a city still finding its moral compass. As the weeks turned into months, a subtle unease began to settle around Elizabeth. The transient nature of her life, the ever-shifting cast of characters she encountered, and the increasingly desperate search for stability began to weigh upon her. Friends noticed a change, a flicker of apprehension in her usually bright eyes, a slight tremor in her voice when she spoke of her future. The pursuit of fame, once a thrilling adventure, now felt like a relentless, suffocating chase. She was navigating a labyrinth of ambition and peril, a delicate dance on the precipice of something unknown. Her last known sighting painted a picture of a woman on the edge of a precipice. On January 9, 1947, Elizabeth Short was seen at the Biltmore Hotel in downtown Los Angeles, a grand edifice that once symbolized the city's opulent dreams. She was reportedly leaving the hotel, dressed impeccably, her dark hair a stark contrast to her pale skin, her future uncertain yet still filled with the lingering hope of a Hollywood breakthrough. After that evening, Elizabeth Short vanished, swallowed by the vast, indifferent expanse of Los Angeles. The city, so accustomed to the ebb and flow of aspiring stars, barely registered her absence, unaware that her disappearance marked the quiet beginning of a nightmare that would forever haunt its history. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. The chilling silence that followed Elizabeth Short's disappearance shattered violently on January 15, 1947. A mother, out for a morning stroll with her young daughter, made a gruesome discovery in a vacant lot near South Norton Avenue and 39th Street in Leimert Park. There, amidst the overgrown weeds and discarded debris, lay the bisected body of a young woman, meticulously drained of blood and posed with a macabre artistry that spoke of utter depravity. The sight was so horrific, so utterly dehumanizing, that it instantly seared itself into the collective consciousness of Los Angeles. The victim, soon identified through fingerprints as Elizabeth Short, had been subjected to unspeakable brutality. Her body was severed precisely at the waist, a surgical precision that suggested medical knowledge or at least a chilling familiarity with anatomy. Her face had been slashed from the corners of her mouth to her ears, creating a grotesque, permanent smile, the infamous Glasgow smile. Other mutilations, too graphic to recount in detail, further underscored the killer's sadistic intent. This was not a crime of passion. It was an act of calculated, meticulous savagery, designed to shock and terrorize. News of the discovery exploded like a bomb, ripping through the veneer of Hollywood glamour and exposing a darkness few dared to acknowledge. The media, ever hungry for sensation, devoured the story, sensationalizing every morbid detail. Elizabeth Short, once a hopeful, aspiring actress, became the Black Dahlia, a tragic figure whose violent end captivated and horrified the nation. Headlines screamed, radio broadcasts sensationalized, and the public clamored for answers, demanding swift justice for the young woman whose dreams had been so cruelly extinguished. Lead investigators Captain Jack Donahoe and Lieutenant Frank Jemison found themselves immediately overwhelmed. The crime scene, despite its horror, offered few immediate clues. The body had been meticulously cleaned, leaving behind almost no forensic evidence. It was as if the killer had taken perverse pride in their work, ensuring that their identity remained shrouded in mystery. The sheer brutality of the act, coupled with the lack of conventional evidence, presented an unprecedented challenge. Early theories abounded, each more outlandish than the last. Was it a jilted lover? A deranged surgeon? A ritualistic killing? The police followed every lead, however tenuous, sifting through a growing mountain of tips and anonymous calls. False confessions poured in, a macabre testament to the public's morbid fascination and the desperate need for closure. Each one proved to be a dead end, further frustrating the investigators and deepening the mystery. The killer, it seemed, was not only brutal, but also incredibly cunning, leaving a trail designed to confuse and mislead. A palpable fear gripped Los Angeles. Women, especially, walked with a newfound trepidation, their once carefree steps now laced with apprehension. The city, once a symbol of opportunity, now felt like a hunting ground, its shadows harboring an unseen menace. Parents kept their children closer, and the vibrant nightlife that had defined the city began to dim, replaced by a pervasive sense of dread. The Black Dahlia murder wasn't just a crime, it was a psychological assault on the city itself. Then a chilling development emerged. The killer, far from hiding, began to taunt the authorities. Letters, meticulously cut from newspaper print, arrived at the offices of the Los Angeles Examiner, claiming responsibility for the murder and promising more gruesome details. A package containing Elizabeth's birth certificate, social security card, photographs, and an address book, all carefully cleaned with gasoline, was also mailed to the newspaper, along with a note that read, "Here is Dahlia's belongings, letter to follow." This deliberate act of defiance, this cold, calculating communication, transformed the case from a mere murder investigation into a terrifying cat-and-mouse game, where the predator openly mocked his pursuers, daring them to catch him. The city held its breath, wondering what further horrors this elusive killer would unleash. The city's fear coalesced into a desperate demand for a culprit, and the police, under immense pressure, cast a wide net. Soon, a web of suspects began to emerge, each with their own dark secrets and tenuous connections to Elizabeth Short. Among the most compelling and disturbing was Dr. George Hodel, a brilliant physician with a reputation for eccentricity and a dark, rumored past. Hodel lived in a sprawling, opulent mansion on Franklin Avenue, a house known for its wild parties and artistic gatherings. His connections ran deep within Hollywood's elite, but whispers of his more illicit activities, including illegal abortions and a penchant for sadomasochism, often followed him. The doctor's medical background, coupled with his alleged history of violence and his son's later accusations, painted a chilling picture. His son, Steve Hodel, himself a retired LAPD detective, would later dedicate years to investigating his father, uncovering disturbing evidence that strongly implicated him. The meticulous, almost surgical nature of Elizabeth's mutilations resonated eerily with Hodel's medical expertise, making him a prime, albeit elusive, suspect. Another figure to fall under intense scrutiny was Walter Bailey, a respected doctor with a seemingly impeccable professional facade. However, beneath this veneer of respectability lay a hidden past, rumored to include affairs and a volatile temper. Bailey had reportedly known Elizabeth through various social circles, and his name surfaced in connection with her in the days leading up to her disappearance. The investigators struggled to reconcile the public image of a reputable physician with the disturbing possibility of a man capable of such grotesque violence. His alibis, while initially appearing solid, began to fray under closer examination, revealing inconsistencies that fueled suspicion. Then there was Red Manley, the last person confirmed to have seen Elizabeth Short alive. Manley, a married salesman, claimed he had dropped Elizabeth off at the Biltmore Hotel where she was supposed to meet her sister. His story, however, was riddled with contradictions. He later admitted to spending several days with Elizabeth, driving her around Southern California, culminating in their arrival in Los Angeles. His shifting narrative, his initial reluctance to fully cooperate, and the lingering questions about their time together immediately placed him under a heavy cloud of suspicion. While he passed polygraph tests, the inconsistencies in his account remained troubling for the investigators. Beyond these prominent figures, numerous other notable suspects surfaced, each with their own fleeting and often flimsy connections to Elizabeth. Sailors she had known, servicemen she had dated, even acquaintances from her various transient residences were all brought in for questioning. The police department's offices became a revolving door of potential culprits, each interview adding another layer of confusion to an already bewildering case. The sheer volume of leads, combined with the lack of concrete evidence, made the task of narrowing down the list feel almost impossible. The pressure on the lead investigators was immense, a suffocating weight from both the public and political figures. Headlines continued to scream for justice, and city officials demanded swift resolution. The inability to produce a definitive suspect, let alone an arrest, began to erode public trust in the LAPD. Every false lead, every dead end, amplified the frustration within the force and intensified the public's growing impatience. The case, once a straightforward murder investigation, had spiraled into a symbol of the city's inability to protect its own. Amidst this chaotic search, a compelling piece of evidence did surface, one that pointed strongly towards a particular suspect, only to be inexplicably dismissed. A typewritten letter found in a suspect's possession bore striking similarities to the taunting notes sent to the newspapers. The paper, the typeface, even certain idiosyncratic phrasing, all seemed to connect it directly to the killer's communications. Yet, for reasons that remained shrouded in mystery and controversy, this crucial lead was ultimately overlooked, filed away, and its significance downplayed. The path to solving the Black Dahlia murder was not just obscured by the killer's cunning, but also by internal complexities, and perhaps, a deeper reluctance to confront uncomfortable truths. The path to solving the Black Dahlia murder was not just obscured by the killer's cunning, but also by internal complexities and perhaps a deeper reluctance to confront uncomfortable truths. This reluctance blossomed into a pervasive atmosphere of betrayal, both personal and institutional, that ultimately crippled the investigation. Within the Los Angeles Police Department itself, rivalries festered, creating deep fissures that allowed crucial evidence to slip through the cracks. Detectives eager for personal glory or perhaps influenced by external pressures sometimes withheld information or pursued their own agendas, undermining the collaborative effort essential for such a complex case. Whispers of corruption and cover-ups began to circulate, suggesting that some within the force might have actively protected powerful individuals, diverting attention away from uncomfortable truths. This internal strife meant that the unified front needed to tackle a killer of such meticulous cruelty simply never materialized. The chaos was further compounded by a deluge of false confessions and planted evidence. Desperate individuals, seeking notoriety or driven by mental instability, flooded police stations with fabricated accounts, each one a painstaking dead end for already overworked investigators. Some even went to extreme lengths, attempting to mimic details of the crime, wasting precious resources and further blurring the lines of an already opaque investigation. The media, hungry for any new development, often amplified these false leads, inadvertently contributing to the confusion and public hysteria. Every new break in the case, fueled by unreliable sources, only served to deepen the public's distrust and the investigators' frustration. Adding to the tragedy, Elizabeth Short's image, her very personhood, was ruthlessly exploited by the media. The moniker Black Dahlia, initially a morbid nickname, became a brand, sensationalizing her life and death in a way that stripped away her humanity. Her aspirations, her vulnerabilities, her dreams, all were reduced to lurid headlines and speculative stories designed to sell newspapers. She became less a victim and more a macabre spectacle, her memory distorted by the relentless pursuit of sensationalism. The public, captivated by the gruesome details, consumed these narratives, often forgetting the young woman at the heart of the tragedy. The relentless, grinding nature of the ongoing investigation took a heavy toll on the lives of everyone involved. Investigators, haunted by the brutal imagery and the elusive nature of the killer, faced personal sacrifices and professional burnout. Families of suspects endured public scrutiny and the crushing weight of suspicion, their lives irrevocably altered. The blurring lines between truth and fiction in the public narrative created a distorted reality, where rumors and speculation often overshadowed facts, making it increasingly difficult to discern what was truly known from what was merely imagined. The initial fervor of the investigation slowly gave way to a growing frustration as the case stagnated, each passing day without an arrest, deepening the sense of failure. Then a pivotal moment occurred, a revelation that would significantly alter the course of the investigation, or rather, derail it further. A key witness, whose testimony had initially provided crucial insights into Elizabeth's final days and interactions, suddenly changed their statement. Under immense duress, likely from unseen forces or perhaps fear for their own safety, this individual recanted significant portions of their original account, casting doubt on previously established timelines and connections. This dramatic shift not only invalidated promising leads, but also injected a profound sense of distrust into the entire investigative process. Was the witness coerced? Were they threatened? The answers remained elusive, but the damage was done. The fragile edifice of the investigation, already weakened by internal conflicts and external pressures, began to crumble, pushing the Black Dahlia case further into the realm of the unsolved, a chilling testament to the power of lies, deception, and betrayal. The chilling testament to the power of lies, deception, and betrayal left the Black Dahlia case in an agonizing stasis. But the story of Elizabeth Short, the vibrant young woman whose dreams were brutally extinguished, refused to fade into obscurity. Instead, her murder continued to echo through the decades, a grim reminder of a promise unfulfilled and a justice denied. Los Angeles, a city perpetually reinventing itself, found itself haunted by this unsolved crime, an indelible stain on its glittering facade. The sheer brutality and the enigmatic nature of the killer ensured that the Black Dahlia remained a cultural touchstone, a macabre legend whispered in hushed tones, long after the initial hysteria had subsided. As the years turned into decades, the enduring legacy of the Black Dahlia murder prompted sporadic bursts of renewed interest. Society evolved, and with it, investigative techniques advanced. Forensic science, once in its infancy during the initial investigation, offered new possibilities. DNA analysis, sophisticated fingerprinting, and behavioral profiling became tools that tantalized independent investigators and true crime enthusiasts alike. They pored over dusty case files, re-examined old photographs, and scrutinized faded testimonies, driven by an unwavering belief that the truth, however elusive, might still be extracted from the shadows of the past. These dedicated individuals, often working without official sanction or resources, became the new torchbearers in the quest for answers, their tireless efforts adding fresh perspectives to a cold case. The emotional toll of this enduring mystery extended far beyond the immediate aftermath of the crime. The families of the victims, particularly Elizabeth Short's own relatives, carried the weight of her unsolved murder for their entire lives, never truly finding peace or closure. Similarly, the families of those wrongfully accused or implicated, like Dr. George Hodel, Walter Bailey, or Red Manley, bore the stigma of suspicion, their reputations and lives often irrevocably damaged by their association with the case. For them, the concept of redemption became a distant, often unattainable hope, as the shadow of the Black Dahlia stretched long over their legacies. The public's insatiable appetite for new theories and sensational details meant that their pasts were continually exhumed, their private pain thrust back into the relentless glare of public scrutiny. Despite the passage of time, the fervent belief persisted that the truth might still be out there, waiting to be uncovered by a diligent mind or a lucky break. Every anniversary of Elizabeth's death, every new documentary or book, reignited the flame of curiosity and renewed the hope that the puzzle pieces might finally click into place. The narrative of the Black Dahlia became more than just a crime story. It transformed into a testament to human perseverance, a relentless pursuit of justice against overwhelming odds. It highlighted the profound desire for answers, for accountability, even when the perpetrator had long since vanished into the annals of history, or perhaps even into the grave. Then, decades after the initial investigation faltered, a new compelling theory emerged, offering a fresh perspective that sent ripples through the true crime community. This theory, meticulously constructed by one of the independent investigators, brought together previously disparate pieces of evidence, reevaluated overlooked details, and proposed a narrative that was both horrifying and chillingly plausible. It didn't merely rehash old suspects but introduced a nuanced understanding of the historical context, the power dynamics at play in post-war Los Angeles, and the psychological profile of a killer whose actions transcended mere brutality. This burgeoning theory, presented with compelling evidence and logical coherence, suggested that the original investigation might have been led astray, not by incompetence but by deliberate misdirection, hinting at a web of influence far more sinister than previously imagined, leaving the door ajar for a final, shocking revelation. The new compelling theory, though offering a fresh perspective, did not definitively solve the mystery, but it did crystallize the myriad possibilities surrounding Elizabeth Short's brutal end. The primary suspects, Dr. George Hodel, Walter Bailey, and Red Manley, each carried their own dark shadows and circumstantial evidence. Hodel, with his medical background and a history of disturbing behavior, remained a chilling figure, his lavish lifestyle and alleged connections to powerful figures creating a formidable barrier to justice. Bailey, the outwardly respectable doctor, harbored a hidden past that hinted at a capacity for violence, while Red Manley, the last person to see Elizabeth alive, never fully reconciled the inconsistencies in his story, leaving a persistent cloud of suspicion. The theories about what truly happened to Elizabeth Short ranged from a lone, deranged killer acting on impulse to a calculated murder orchestrated by a powerful individual to silence her, perhaps due to compromising information she possessed. Some speculated about a botched abortion, others about a ritualistic killing, each theory adding another layer of complexity to an already impenetrable case. The emotional impact of this unsolved crime resonated deeply, not just in Los Angeles but across the nation. It left an indelible scar on the collective psyche, a stark reminder that even in a city built on dreams, darkness could consume the brightest aspirations. The Black Dahlia case became a symbol of frustrated justice, a testament to the limitations of law enforcement in the face of a truly meticulous and elusive perpetrator. This enduring fascination with Elizabeth Short, the Black Dahlia, transformed her story into a cautionary tale, whispered through generations about the perils of ambition, the vulnerability of the innocent, and the lurking evil that sometimes evades detection. Her vibrant personality, her magnetic charm, and her unwavering hope for Hollywood fame were tragically overshadowed by the gruesome manner of her death. Yet her spirit, in a strange way, lived on through the endless pursuit of her killer. The idea of justice, even if delayed by decades, continued to fuel the efforts of independent investigators and true crime enthusiasts, their unwavering dedication a quiet testament to the human need for closure. They believed that uncovering the truth, no matter how painful or how long it took, was a form of honoring Elizabeth Short, granting her the dignity that was so cruelly denied in her final moments. For them, the continued search was not merely an academic exercise but a moral imperative, a way to speak for the silenced and to confront the lingering malevolence of the past. The hope for closure, though distant, remained a powerful motivator, a beacon in the ongoing darkness surrounding the case. Ultimately, the final thoughts on Elizabeth Short must transcend her tragic end. She was not merely a victim, a macabre headline, or a cold case file. She was a person with dreams, with hopes, with a life that was abruptly and brutally stolen. Her aspirations for Hollywood, her brief encounters in the City of Angels, and her magnetic personality painted a picture of a young woman full of potential. Her story serves as a poignant reminder of the countless untold narratives of those who ventured to Los Angeles seeking fame and fortune, only to encounter its darker, more unforgiving side. The Black Dahlia murder remains America's most famous unsolved crime, a testament to its enduring mystery, a narrative that continues to captivate and confound. Despite the passage of time, the tireless efforts of many, and the emergence of compelling theories, the identity of Elizabeth Short's killer remains officially unknown. The case stands as a permanent fixture in true crime lore, a chilling example of a perpetrator who defied capture and accountability. Though the case remains officially unsolved, the narrative emphasizes the victim's humanity and the enduring quest for truth, ensuring that Elizabeth Short, the Black Dahlia, will never truly be forgotten. The city of Los Angeles, forever marked by her tragedy, continues to carry the weight of her unfinished chapter, a silent promise that the search for answers, however long, will persist.